networking week 9, just finished midterm. We talked a lot about IP addressing. There's some questions, and I'm not going to repeat everything, but I'm going to capture the boards so the students have it. We talked about this address, and then we worked on what parts of the network, the host, and the broadcast. This is what we came up with. We wrote out the ones and zeros. So this octet represents that 10, and then that line represents prefix bits of 22. 8, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So everything to the left, this is all network. Everything to the right is host. So this right here, all zeros would be the network address. So if you look at this octet right here, that would be an 8. Be that one up there. That'd be an 8. So the network part of the address, 192.168.8/22. If we put all ones in, if you notice up above, we're all ones. Let me recalculate that. All ones. This octet, that 1 up there. See if I can show you where it is, right there. If that was a 1 right there, this would give us an 11. We got 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is the broadcast for that network. Then we moved over and we did some other examples. We talked about public address. And we talked about a range, an example of a public address here at the college, and a private address that matches with that, and then we do a static NAT assignment for that. Assign an IP address to a device. You can either do it dynamically, DHCP, or statically. Statically would be primarily for servers, but it could be other devices too. So then we talked about this is a particular server, and we have an IP address assigned to it statically, and then we use static NAT to translate that. We did this example, what things have to be configured in a PC to make it work. You can test it with 127.0.0.1. If that works, you know the internet protocol is running on the device. It doesn't mean it's configured, but it's running on the device. And then we talked about if you can ping one of the servers and not get to the internet, then you know at least your default gateway has been set correctly. Now if you can't get to the internet, the default may not be set on the router. But if the servers are getting to the internet, then maybe the NAT is not working in the router, or your DNS is not working correctly. But you could check that by pinging or accessing a location on the internet by using the IP address. That was some of the basic stuff we covered there. And then we finished up, before we retook chapter 6, we looked at this example. We talked about using that address, 192.168.10/24. We said that this connection's already taken care of, so we don't have to worry about it. So really then, we have 2 networks. I drew 2 other lines here, but we're not worried about those right now. Those are maybe future networks. But we have this one here, this one over here. So we have 2 that we're actually using. We said we want at least 50 machines on each of these networks and the future networks. We looked at an example that was impossible. I think I said 300 machines on each network, which is impossible. In fact, you couldn't get 300 machines out of this addressing right here anyway. Alright, so then we started the subnet. So the first 3 octets we're not doing anything with, and so we looked at this octet right here, the last one. And then we looked at it. That would give us no addresses. That'll give us 4 total combination, but only 2 we can use because we have the broadcast and the network address. This will give us 6 plus the broadcast and the network, 8 total. This will give us actually 14 usable addresses. This will give us 30, and this one will give us 62. There's 64 combinations, and then we can't use the network address or the broadcast. So we drew the line there, and we drew out the very first network. So we have actually 4 possible networks. 2 zeros in that position, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. And then we wrote out those networks. We actually calculated those out. So these were the 4 different networks. And then we didn't take time to write the broadcast out, but we wrote the range for that first network. It would be from 1 to 62. I don't have them both written there, but it'd be 1 to 62. And the next range would be 65, 192, 168, 165, the next address after the network address, and it would go up to 126. This is the next network. 127 would be the broadcast for this network, so 126 would be the last address on there that we can use. And in all those situations, we have 62 usable addresses. So this was the work we did today, along with retaking Chapter 6, IP addressing assessment. We move on to data link on Friday. And that's it.